Hello friends and welcome back. We are here today with the MX5 Cup Series at Ames at Brands Hatch at the Grand Prix circuit. I am back after a weekend away. Ryan, how you doing today? Welcome. I guess you're welcome to have me back. How's that sound?
Yeah, welcome everyone. Yeah, happy to have you back. Hopefully we won't miss the race start this week. Between yourself being back and some added communication from our league organizers, so everything should be good. You know, it's glad to have, like I said, good to have you back around Brands Hatch. We're doing the GP circuit today. Why don't you tell us a little bit of information about that?
So Brands Hatch, lovely track. Used to host a bunch of the bunch of races, obviously. I think it's a great track for the MX5 Cup, especially. It's not the biggest track in the world. It's actually just under 2.5 miles, or just under 4 kilometers for those of you who actually use, the correct system. America.
Don't get me started.
Don't get me started on that. And no, absolutely looking forward to the race that we have in store today. I know as we see Moose going off here, so in a bit of a practice here, as our own practice for these guys is winding down. We, it's not a course, definitely a few places where it's easy to go off, right? Especially like turn 1, where you have a long right-hander going downhill, and it's easy to carry too much speed, and you lose your grip going down into that. But also a lot of places where, we've had issues before with track limit penalties and stuff like that. Not so much, I feel, in this course. There's a few places where you can really cut the corners and go up on the curbs and try to make the track as big as possible, but something where I think we should see some competitive racing, and certainly a few spots to make passes here as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, I am very surprised to see the amount of people that were in or here early this morning and practicing. I think people are a little worried. It's not a super wide track, despite these cars being small, and it's not an easy track. I mean, turn after turn, really, you have to be on it to be as fast as possible. And the moment you're off that racing line, it's just not treating you well.
No, absolutely not. It's because if you're off the line, you're immediately screwing up not only the current corner that you're going into or curling in, but then possibly one coming up as well. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys are going. I know in my own practice, I think the fastest I got to do is about a 1:38. Obviously, we see Tony Cal with the fastest lap in practice with a 1:35.5, and I think Winters and Arctic saying in their own practice that their optimal was like a 1:34. So definitely seems like we're seeing the higher end of the times that we'll be able to do here. Tony Cal in chat saying Moose is slow. And you know what? Moose is slow. I don't think they move that fast. As he's parked on the side of the track, I think, waiting for practice to be up.
Yeah, he's probably doing that because we are rounding out upon qualifying to start soon. But I gotta say, I don't know that Moose are native to Brands Hatch. Where are they? Over in Kent? So maybe he's out of his element today. We'll have to see.
He might be out of his grass. I'm excited to be back, man. It's funny how just missing 1 week, I feel like I'm out of practice and everything else. So I'm excited to get back into it, and nothing better than Brands Hatch, man. It's one of my favorite tracks. I especially like the fact that it's got a good mix of straights and maybe not so tech. I mean, there are a few hard corners for sure. Turn 1 especially, like I was saying earlier, very difficult to get ahead. And then you have Druids, which is like the hairpin kind of like turn 2, and I guess it's turn 4 where you're going uphill. It's like really deep apex going uphill. Over at
that turn sucks, I gotta say.
Surtees, I guess it is, yeah.
I'm not a fan of that. It's very awkward, but trail braking, I think, is your friend coming in there, especially because you have to brake enough to get the car rotated first, but it's almost like 2 turns in one, the angle of that left-hander changes, and that's a place where you're not going to you're going to lose a lot of speed if you don't take it properly. And again, I think that's a characteristic of a lot of corners around here. It just is pretty brutal if you're not hooked up with it. Now, we're not the fastest racers, but I felt pretty confident around here, even in my slower state. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of settle into a groove. But with this Miata, I found that really using the momentum of the car to help chuck it around corners was helping a lot.
Yeah, I think that's the name of the game with a car like this, where it doesn't have the most power, but, you know, yeah, like you said, you need to just carry as much speed as possible. So we are going to be going into qualifying here in just a moment. It looks like we might be a couple of drivers shy, but, you know, we've got 10-minute quality coming up, and that'll determine our grid placement for the first race. And then, of course, if you're new here, we do have the reverse grid race as well. So looking forward to that for sure, because of, you know, it's always nice to see some of the back markers being able to lead a few laps and seeing how they're able to defend, and hopefully not, you know, no one goes bowling into turn one here.
Yeah, I'm excited for the reverse grid. I think we always enjoyed it. It usually brings us some close racing as well, and you see those back markers having to fight their way through it. Qualifying is going to be interesting. You know, like I said, I jumped into a couple of practice lobbies this morning trying to get some time in myself, and Arctic right away out of the pits able to put in 136s. Anytime he returned to the pits for practice, note you cannot do that in qualifying. But for practice, straight 136 at the gates. And that's not a slow time, even with Tony Cow with his 135.5 right now. Looking forward to it. I think that, you know, again, we have our typical front runners, but one mistake, and you're going to be fighting your way back up.
Absolutely. So let's get to qualifying here, Mr. Tony Cow. Start this race.
I'm ready for quality. Let's see how fast these Miatas can go around here.
Alrighty, and here we are qualifying at Brands Hatch Grand Prix Circuit. It's a bright and sunny day here. I think it's a little bit cloudy for today, and but it looks like we're getting right out into it. We're on board right now with Winter. It looks like Tony Cow cuts out right in front of him. I saw Arctic on the board there as well. Marino's out there. It's going to be a tight track for these out laps. I hope these guys give themselves enough space, as we see Winter going a little bit sideways going down that first turn. Very easy to do in these cars for sure, especially, you know, with these sports tires that we have on there. It makes it fun. It makes it, you know, nice. And in practice, we were talking about, it just seems like you really have to be on the threshold of it's a dance of how much slip is, you know, are you slipping too much, are you sliding around too much, or are you just on the knife's edge of having enough grip where, you know, you don't, it feels like if you're not kind of sliding a little bit, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think that with this car especially, you want that rear end to come out so it helps rotate the car around. Honestly, I found myself braking, chucking into a corner so the front end digs in, and then the rear end would swing around and finish the turn for you.
Yeah. I'm just sorry, just real quick on this out lap. We're on board with a newcomer, new reserve for today, JJ Lucky. We're just gonna call it J Lucky, and going with the waifu livery there. That's a decision.
You know, it's a decision.
It is a choice.
Colors. Maybe they are a waifu themselves, an e-girl. I don't know who we got racing with us, but looking forward to seeing them up. Supposedly they've got some pace in them.
They've got a pillow for sure. And I'm not hating. I'm just saying. I'm just stating facts here. Yeah, definitely will be interesting to see. You know, I know not everybody runs this Mazda MX-5, runs this Roadster a lot, so we'll have to see how they do. But let's jump on board with our leading man, Moose, as he's coming around to do his first flyer, followed by Arctic, Gilly, and Winter. And Moose, someone who has proven to have pace in this MX-5 Cup Series. We can take a look at the standings while he's going around. Druid's right there, and Moose is down in third with 189 points. He needs to have a good race, but more importantly, he needs the two guys in front of him to have a bad race. Notably, Arctic in second place with 219 points. Tony Cow bringing it home currently in first with 229. So most of those guys to.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, Moose needs those guys pretty much DNF both races.
Yeah, Moose, I believe Moose missed one race or two. Is that right? Or at least it was a Manu Series race. But cannot let himself get caught up in some turn one antics and have to crawl his way back up because it makes it even more difficult. And he's got to maximize his points he could bring home. P3 is just not going to be enough for Moose to stay competing. To
be fair, last time we were in the MX5 was Willow Springs, and Moose, it was not his day. He just was the victim of quite a bit of bullying, it seemed like, and he wasn't. It was tough to make his way back through the pack. So we know for sure he took that personally, and he's going to be trying to make a statement here as he's coming along the final turn of this first lap. Let's see how where he's going to be putting it. Looks like it's going to be a quick lap, just based off of his time right now. Let's see, 135.9. Let's see as these other times at 135.9. Just barely ahead of him is Arctic. Gillian with a 137.2, Winter with a 136.1, and we see Arctic in the background going what? Tony with a 136.0. Tony throwing himself up in the top three. Marino with a 137.9, taking 7th place. For now, we know that these guys have more pace in them for sure, but what a great lap between Arctic and Moose. Be so close. With Joe Lucky and Purple with 141s, I'm sure they've got, I hope they have some more pace in them than that, because they're going to need it. Demon with a 145. I did want to mention Demon real quick. This man's been fighting. He's been sick all week. I don't know if he's gotten to practice whatsoever, but happy to see him here. Happy to see him fighting to race and everything else. Pato with a 143.2. I know Pato's got some more pace in him. We did some practice earlier this week on Friday, and it's tough. It's a tough track. It's a tough track. Deceivingly tough, I think, for sure. Especially we kept on saying that first corner is absolutely horrible, and along with turn 4 as well, going up that hill. So we'll see what times these guys have left. Moose going wide, eating some grass. Unfortunately for him, he's putting up purple sector, but I don't think it's going to be an improvement after that. Maybe a marginal improvement if he's able to have a terrific final sector, but I'm not too sure about that. We'll stay on board with Moose for now, and we'll see how those times come across the start-finish line here in just a moment. But so far, it looks like we're going to
dirty tires now from going off grass. And Crispy now, too. That's not going to help you get around here. Crispy going right into a wall as Pato's going too wide now. These back markers are not having a good time around here, carrying too much speed.
Winter's taking second place from Moose, just barely ahead. Malabu with a 137.6. Labu moves up a little bit. Marino with 137.0 moves up to 5th place. Tony Cow, where are you at, bud? Tony Cow is that was not a good lap from him. He must have went off with a 142. Purple with a 137.8, I think that was. He moves up to 8th place. Happy to see that. That was a good improvement from Purple. 139 from Demon, solid improvement there as well. We'll see how the rest of our back markers get along. Jay Lucky, let's see, what have we got? 143, so still fastest with a 141.5. Definitely looking to improve here.
Yeah, they've got to put in a good time without any mishaps, and it's again super easy to do around here to make a mistake. And one mistake is going to just ruin your lap time. It doesn't matter if it's 2 seconds, 2/10, whatever. But in qualifying, as we know, is that 1 lap pace. You have to get hooked up for just that 1 lap, and then you can battle your inconsistencies during the race, and that's the tough part. Arctic putting in a blazing sector there. And hunting down Moose right now. Arctic is looking prime for that pole position.
Arctic looks like he really wants to take a win away, and well, actually, yeah, and definitely trying to take first place away from Tony as far as the championship goes. We're coming to this
curve down to the Brabham Straight. Let's see what their times look like.
135.7, 135.5. So Moose takes second place from Winter, but Arctic maintains 135.7 again from Winter. So he's going to get in third. Tony Cow, do you have an answer for this? Let's see. I don't think he's going to be fast enough. Oh, he might just be getting in there. He takes second with a 135.6. Solid job by Tony. He's just behind Arctic, really, but also just ahead of Moose. It's going to be a tight top 5, it seems, or top 4 at the very least. And we have just under 3 minutes left in this qualifying session. So realistically, maybe 2 hot laps left. Jay Lucky with another 141. Demon with a 138.9. Is that enough to improve? He's still in P9, about a second shy of P8 from Purple.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Demon's going to be able to do today. Again, he's not been feeling well. Probably didn't get the practice that he wanted. More importantly, mentally probably isn't feeling all there. But, you know, they'll push through. They'll do their best. And that's all you can do coming around here, as it is difficult. Crispy with a 142. Pato with a 141 and change. Pato still in P11 with Jay Lucky about 6/10 up on them. But Paddle might be having some company back there if he can keep his race pace consistent, all right?
Keep his race pace is consistent, especially, but I know his biggest worry is ruining someone else's race. And we were talking about it even just before the race started, like 30 minutes before the race started, about your braking points and everything else. And it's just a part of the experience, and you know, we say it because he's a newcomer, and it's not to pick on him, but it's just showing you know, the experience that some of the faster guys have is just knowing like how much later you can brake, and that just seems to be a case that Pato continuously brings up. He says, I feel like I'm braking sooner than everybody else. We see Gilly advancing with a 136.9. Is that enough to put him up another spot? He takes 5th place from Marino. How close are these two? I want to see. He's just over 100th of a second up from Marino. Yeah, well, it's 10, sorry.
1.5 from Marino. Yeah, you know, Gilly's right close to Marino, but pretty far from Winters in P4. Marino, though, might be having a look. Again, Gilly he's had a string of bad luck in some races, and Marino may be able to capitalize on that. Marino is a driver who I think we've seen improve week after week for the most part.
Yeah, Marino, we have to stop saying he's doing well, because number one, we're going to curse him, but number two, we don't need that ego to get any bigger than it currently is. But no, it's fantastic to see someone, you know, continually improve, and I think that's part of the reason we like being in this league so much, is everyone kind of pushes each other to do better. No one's holding out secrets or anything like that, and you see it, you know, more often than not. Unfortunately, Marino going a bit wide there. Not sure if he's going to be able to improve this lap, and this will probably be his final lap. We have just under 30 seconds left. I don't know if we have enough track for him to make that or not. It's gonna be real tight, actually, looking at the timer for this lap. Arctic going wide, unfortunately for him, but Arctic does have first place at the moment. Labu going sideways, potentially ruining any lap Marino may have had, as he had to swerve out of the way there. We'll keep our eye on Marino, though, see if he's able to improve to P5. Gilly is just ahead of him, going to be finishing his laps in just a moment. Gilly looks like he is not able to improve. Marino not able to improve. And that's going to be it for them, I believe. We'll see who else is running. Purple currently in 8th place. He's coming around the final corner here. Went a little bit wide, but he is at 137 on the clock now. 130. Yeah, he just steers off. He knows he's not going to improve on that time at all, unfortunately for him. Demon coming across the line, taking 8th away from Purple, putting himself right behind Labu. Jay Lucky with a 140.7, taking 10th place. Our resident Zugger out here, hanging out. I think he must have had a moment and gone off, unfortunately for him. And he's just going to have to finish his lap.
Yeah, I think Crispy also is on one final lap. Everyone else is finished up. Notably, Tony Cow's last lap did not improve, so he's going to be stuck behind Arctic in P2. Starting on the inside, though, I think might be good for Tony coming down to turn 1.
Yeah, I think, I believe starting on the right-hand side is, I mean, you might be able to get your nose up in there as well, but obviously, you know, it would be very easy to, you know, misjudge your braking point if you haven't practiced it. Moose putting it at 135 does not improve, still 3rd, and Crispy looks like he's just going to be taking this one home. So, looks like Arctic taking pole position here, just ahead of Tony Cal in 2nd, and to the difference between Tony and Moose, marginal.
Yeah, it really is nothing right there.
Steezy cheering on Marino. And congrats to Steezy, by the way, for getting married this past weekend. How dare he? But yeah, it looks like Tony Cal is, you know, if he wants to continue leading this championship, only 10 points from Arctic. So we know Arctic tends to be, Arctic team tends to kind of get his elbows out, but you know, it'll be interesting to see how he's able to do so on this track as well, and if he's able to defend. We've seen it time and time again where Tony is just chasing Arctic lap after lap. We saw it at Willow Springs last time and was not able to make a move, but anything can happen. We've seen it a couple times already, just while you're doing fast laps, that Arctic's able to go, well, he ends up going wide. So real quick, we'll take a look at these results. Again, Arctic getting that pole position with a 135.5. Congrats to Arctic. He's going to be getting an extra point for that. Tony Cal in second, Moose in third, and Winter taking fourth. Really tight between the top four for sure. Marino and Gilly in fifth and sixth and fifth. Look like they might be fighting each other a bit, which will help out the guys behind them for sure. Labu coming in seventh, Demon in eighth as well. Demon just taking that eighth position away from Purple, who's down in ninth now. And then it looks like we may have some fighting in the rear with Jay Lucky, Paddle, and Crispy. Now, obviously, this all comes down to race pace and how these guys are able to manage, but I'm interested to see, just kind of what this fighting is going to look like.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen, especially in the back of the pack, in the front. I mean, really everywhere. We had some great battles last week in our race, a really good race, actually. Granted, that was in the Group 3 cars, but these MX-5s definitely lend themselves to it. Guaranteed Demon goes off track at first lap. I hope not. He's not been well. Crispy, I think, was not anticipating being here. I don't think he got much practice in this week, but we'll have to see. I'm curious, Wally, who do you think is going to take podium places here?
I have to give it to the top three in the championship right now. I mean, you can't discredit when you can't count Winter out, and I would almost say he's a dark horse, but it could honestly be any of the top four. I'm gonna have to say Arctic and Tony for sure, and I would love to see Marino up there, to be honest. I'm gonna throw a dark horse out there and say Marino's able to capitalize on some mistakes ahead of him, and say that he takes third place. What about you?
That's a bold choice, my friend. I think I would place my money on Gilly instead to take up a third place. But the first is really going to come between Arctic and Tony, I believe. Again, hopefully Moose doesn't get upset not upset, but have a moment at the race at all that sends him back, having to fight through. And the same thing goes for Gilly and Winter. Winter and Arctic known to be rather aggressive at points, though. Curious to see how Tony will deal with that. Tony very, very calculated and not too aggressive when he doesn't need to be, right? So we'll have to see. But again, everyone's goal behind Arctic is going to be not letting him pull away, right?
Absolutely.
We've seen it time and time again. I don't know how he does it compared to the other drivers, but when we were at Willow Springs, at least, Tony Cal kept up with him. It was awesome to see.
No, it was great to see. We went for some great racing and then great entertainment as well. We will be starting the race here in just a moment. And don't forget, this is the race number 1 of 2 today. We will have a reverse grid after this first race. And the results of the first race will determine the grid order for that race. So stay tuned. We'll be starting this race in just a few moments.
All right, we got 5 seconds till the race starts, and we're going to wait for those lights to go out. Now, notably, we do have partly cloudy weather on the first race, sunny weather on the second race. It will make a noticeable difference, and let's get ready to get going. Check these lights going out, Wally.
Absolutely. Looking at the shot. I'm going to jump down real quick with the grid. Going to keep our eyes on this first turn. Man, it's funny. We finally have 2 pink cars on the grid, and I'm going to definitely get confused the two. But here we go. Lights are coming up. 5 lights up on the board, and the lights are out. We are racing here at Brands Hatch. The MX5 Cup Series race number 7 is off and away, and it looks like Arctic having a great start. Tony Cal and Moose right behind him, though. Tony slots it right in. Winter, Arctic going a little bit wide. Winter putting his nose up, taking third place away from Moose as we get into Druid's corner. Moose having the inside look, though. You don't want to go wide here as we see Labu in the back going a bit deep. Looks like Marino holding 6th, Dave Gilly holding 5th place. Currently, we'll jump on board with the front runners real quick and see how we're holding up. First place, Arctic, Tony Cal in second, Winter jumping up to 3rd, Moose right behind, and Moose is definitely going to be looking to take that position right back as we see Gilly still in 5th, Marino in 6th. Looks like most of the grid has not changed too much. Well, I do see someone off in the distance in the rear. Are you able to see who's behind the pack there?
Yeah, Crispy wanted to go touch the sand a little bit around turn one and just, I think, took too much speed in there. Again, a tricky thing that is around turn one, and Crispy's got his work cut out for him today.
Yes, sir, he does. Unfortunate for him, but other people make mistakes as well, and we're bound to see those happen as we see. Now, okay, if you're these top 4 guys, you know that there's pace difference between you 4 and the guys behind. Are you trying to fight, or are you trying to just stay together and pull the fight apart from the rest of the group?
If I were them, that's what I would do, but you also can't not fight for position when you have the opportunity here. Now we see Tony Cal possibly make a move, and notably behind that, Pato, a couple of turns ago, overtook Jay Lucky for P10, and Pato, one of his greatest overtakes I've seen yet. Congrats to Pato there.
Clip that one for the highlights reel. We're jumping back on. Well, Winter looks like they had a moment. It's back in P9 now. Well, looks like Marino maybe having a look here on Gilly as we're coming down to turn 1. Arctic, Moose, and Tony are all up ahead. Oh no, and we see Demon going off into the gravel. He's giving that place up to Purple, now down in 7th. Marino still trying to fight. Labu looking, he has some pace, taking a look on Marino. Marino going a little bit wide on that curb, but able to maintain his position for it now. And this fight is for 4th is looking like it's now a 3-way fight. Gilly having to defend for his life at the moment.
Yeah, Gilly defending for his life. Pato defending for his life.
Oh no, Gilly going wide. Marino taking 4th rather from Gilly. I forgot about Winter now all the way in the back of the pack. Marino taking 4th, and Labu and Gilly going side by side as we come onto this next turn. Gilly having the inside line, however. We'll see if he's able to make anything of this, or if Labu's going to be gaining the position. Labu going a little bit wide, chopping on some grass here. Side by side once again as we go into this next turn. This blind turn almost coming up here now too. This is going to be a dangerous spot if these two are still fighting so close. Going side by side. Okay, Gilly looks like he took this spot. I mean, that's all Marino wants right now. He wants these two to be fighting because he's happy to be taking 4th right now.
Absolutely, he does. Now, notably, Marino is 4.5 seconds behind Moose in P3, and we got Moose in P3, Tony Cal in P2, and Arctic P1. The 3 of them sticking together, though, doing a good job, and they're just pulling away from each other. So I can't say they're not trying to fight each other, but right now it looks like they're just pulling each other away from the rest of the pack. That is not going to be what Gilly nor Winter wants. Winter down on P8 currently. Made it past Demon relatively easily. I think Demon had dirty tires and wasn't able to fight back at the start of last lap, but Demon's got quite a few people between him and P4, which might be the highest he can hope for right now.
You mean Winter?
I think that
you mean
Winter going on the inside, getting a little sloppy there with Purple, but overtakes Purple. I didn't care for that. I think Winter went for a gap that wasn't there, but of course it can all be reported by the drivers. But it looked to me like he almost bumped him out of the way a little bit so he could force himself through. But Winter is now hunting down Mr. Labu. And we've said it before, these front runners, sometimes they just get mixed up into something and they're sent back to the Shadow Realm and they have to fight their way up.
It is tough though, because do you want to fight someone who clearly has pace, right? I mean, the difference between the top 4 were within 3 tenths of each other, right? And then I think there was a good at least a second between 4th and 5th place. Do you want to bother fighting Winter, or you should just say, it's not my fight?
I don't know. If that were me, I would look to fight at that point, because you're just going to slow them down. I mean, regardless if you think you're going to make it the points or not, it's still points that you might be able to limit a front runner from getting. Again, I see your point. Winter easily overtook Mr. Labu, it looked like, and now hunting down Gilly. Well, I'm curious to see what Gilly's going to do as a driver that has fought Winter before. Obviously, Winter not afraid to get elbows out and get aggressive, and currently making work, doing work, I should say, in the back, not back markers, but the midfield.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Notably, Marino had a gap of 1.5 seconds while Gilly was fighting Labu. Labu then dropping back, and that gap between Marino and Gilly has dropped down to less than a second. Obviously, we're going around a corner now, so it's you kind of have to take the average. But it looks like Gilly may be finding some pace now, a few laps in, and that's 4th position is not Marino's it's not going to be safe in Marino's hands for too much longer. Half a second now almost, and we know that Winter is also coming in. So Marino's going to have to hope that Gilly and Winter end up fighting for quite a bit, so Marino can try and hold track position for as long as possible. But at the same time, you know, Winter's going to be trying anything to get past Gilly and Marino at the same. So let's see what happens. We'll check on these guys in just a moment. I do want to jump up with our front runners and see how we're doing. Still holding position. Looks like Tony just about half a second shy from Arctic in first. Moose notably over a second behind Tony at the moment. I'm not sure if he had a moment here or not. You know, we can't see everything on the stream, of course, unfortunately. But
oh my goodness, I'm sorry to cut you off. Gilly just had a fantastic move on Marino, getting past Marino, and now Winter is right behind him. Having a look. I'm sorry, as they are approaching clearways, and the last 3 turns of the track. That was. I wish you had seen that on stream, because that was a great move by Gilly. But they're coming down the main straight now, Brabham Straight, and Marino and Winter both have the toe effect going on. We'll see what Marino can do to hold off Winter. I don't know that he's long for him.
Wow, just see how much understeer there was going over the crest of the hill, and Winter just kind of trying to steer a bit harder to make the car go in the direction he wants it to go. But obviously he was sliding there as well. Really, you know, good reaction by Winter to be able to control the car and point it in the direction he needs it to go. Look at the time he's able to gain in just 2 turns, though, right on Marino's rear end. Marino, I mean, I don't know if this is a spot to pass or not, but he looks like he's going to go for it, and he's going to make that happen. Takes 5th away from Marino, and now has sights on Gilly in 4th place. That was a good move by him. Marino gave him the space on the inside, and you know, I guess maybe he just didn't want to fight him. Maybe he said, you know, go after Gilly, slow him down for me.
Yeah, you know, it's possibly that. It's possible that Marino was just sticking to his racing line. You know, sometimes you just have to learn how to defend, and not everyone does that, especially when sometimes you find yourself racing by yourself more often than not. You know, we could speculate all we want, but what matters now is Winter is hunting down Gilly for P4, back already to, you know, not where he was, but, you know, showing great pace there.
Oh,
Demon
no.
was looking to have a move on purple, is now mowing the grass, having a taste of it.
I happened to see how close they were, and I wanted to check up on see how they were doing, and unfortunately, Demon carrying a bit too much speed into that corner, gonna go driving and, you know, go eating some grass, and he's now 2 seconds behind purple. Clearly he has some pace, though. He's gonna be able to make that up again. And I know we say it weekly, but I'm loving this livery from purple, man.
Yeah, that looks great. Up front, Tony now within 1 to 3 tenths of Arctic, obviously depending on where they are at the track at the moment. Tony all over the rear end of Arctic, though, and Moose notably has dropped back now. The gap is 1.4, 1.5 seconds from Tony to Moose. Tony is really hungry for that P1, and again, doing a great job of not letting Arctic pull away, or keeping up with Arctic, I should say, as again, the gap behind Moose to Winter and P4, who overtook Gilly, is now 10 seconds.
Wow, that's quite, and we just happen to see Winter taking Gilly, so Winter is now in 4th place. Interesting to see Tony Cow gaining on Arctic in just 1 turn. Going on the inside now, maybe the old switcheroo. Crofter would be excited, but no, not going to make it happen just yet. There's blind corner coming up. They both go up on the curb. They both hold on to the tarmac for this time being. Arctic going to have a look on the inside of this line. Tony Callow going to cut under, and he is all over the rear end of Arctic here.
Yeah, Anthony could feel this. He's ready for it. He's tired of Arctic's rear end, if you know what I mean. I'm obviously talking about the car. The outside there is not going to do it, but Tony Cow possibly trying to carry more momentum around that bend. It looks like it's not going to happen just yet, as he's got the slipstream.
And notably, though, because of that fighting, look how close Moose is now.
Exactly right. Moose is right there. So these 3 again sort of rubber banding their way through. The gap increases, it decreases, it increases, it decreases. As they're Tony Cow looking for the inside is not just quite there. He's
Arctic
not close enough to make it stick.
Real quick though, but Tony is almost alongside for these moments as well. Tony's, I mean, he's got to be patient, but he's also got Moose right behind him. Arctic going a little bit squirrely though. This may give. Is Tony going to have an inside move like Winters did? I don't think so. He's going to hold it. Arctic looks like he may have turned in a little bit hard. Tony manages to save it. Both drivers managed to save it and maintain position. Moose behind him probably having a heart attack a little bit because he had to do some evasive maneuvering out of there. Looks like Tony's trying to pull up the inside, or at least make it look like he was going to go on the inside, but doesn't look like he's going to do so. These guys both go off a little bit, going a little bit wide. Maybe they are just trying to make the track as wide as possible. However, Arctic getting a wheel in the gravel, not going to do it any well. Tony also having a spot of oversteer, though. We're coming up again on this blind corner here. Tony eats that curb nice and well, but Moose, I mean, it looks like Tony's not having a good time. I don't know if he's got dirty tires or what, but the oversteer seems to be pretty unreal right now. Or I don't know, maybe it's Moose behind it giving him a little bit tap here, tap there, but
no, it looks like Tony Cal, his tires did get dirty, and it just, in this car especially, it just feels horrific. Your car does not want to turn usually. Oh, as those dirty tires coming to play, Moose has got more grip and going on the inside of Tony Cal as he's getting a little bit sloppy. We knew Tony Cal's not going to drop too far behind, but you hate to see it.
You know what, though, because those, now they're fighting, and because of those tires, Arctic able to pull ahead almost in the second half as we come on down to turn number 2 at Druids, and these two are neck and neck, right? I mean, not neck and neck, but do I say ass to mouth? I'll say it ass to mouth right now.
well, as Steezy in chat points out, he leaves for 1 minute and drops 2 spots. That must be why Marino's performance dropped off so much, because he walked away.
Yeah, there's usually cast a curse, but here must be Marino's blessing. As we see now, Tony and Moose having a drag race up this hill, coming onto this I think the longest straight of the course, actually, unless you count, I guess, kind of like the final corner as a straight, because you're flat out basically anyway. But it looks like Moose maintains second place for it now, and the gap to Arctic now is 2 seconds. So these guys, they're fighting for position, but they're just letting Arctic walk away. Walk away, crawl away, I guess. These cars aren't that fast, but interesting to see now who's going to screw up first. I feel like that's, it's just a matter of time before one of these guys gives into the pressure and, let's one of them go by. So we'll have to see what happens. We are going to jump down real quick with the rest of the grid while these two are getting closer and closer, though.
Yeah, I wanted to catch you up. So Winter is slowly starting to peel away from Gilly. Gilly not making it easy, though. They've sort of been back and forth. Gilly catches up or, something happens. Notably, the gap to Tony Cal from Winter is now 12.5 seconds. So it's coming down a little bit, mainly probably due to the two of them fighting. And behind, obviously, we spoke about Marino dropping a couple of places, and Labu holding on to Gilly, about 1.5, 1.6 seconds, and Marino quite a way back there. So Marino's got a lot of work to do. And further behind them, Demon went off mowing the grass again a couple of laps ago. Unfortunately, not treating them too well. And Pato's been in front of Jay Lucky for a little bit now. And Crispy obviously not enjoying his race today, but I'm glad he's here. Glad he was able to make it. Hopefully Crispy has better go around race 2 today. But Pato holding P10 pretty well. 3.5 seconds to Jay Lucky P11.
Good job at Pato so far. It looks like, look at his times as well. We just jumped on. He puts his fastest lap with a 140.6. Well, otherwise, he's been incredibly consistent for the last 5 laps or so with 141s. All over for the most part. So great job by Pato. You're happy to see that, and I hope for him he's able to maintain.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Tony Cal's right up Moose again, trying to make a move happen. It's just not happening just yet. The gap to Arctic, though, is coming down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Maybe they finally said, okay, let's have it. But Tony Cal's not going to say no to a position gained if Moose opens that door.
No, Tony's definitely going to be taking on spot if Moose lets him. We are almost halfway through this race. It's a 30-minute race. We are at 14.5 minutes right now. So the fact that these three are still so close is fantastic. You'll have to see it. Tony Cal putting in the fastest lap of the 135.4. So even with these two fighting, he's getting the toe. He's able to put in the tiniest bit of a faster lap here. It wasn't by much, though. I'll tell you that much. But happy to see these guys fighting. Obviously, clean fighting up front as well, and respectful driving. And I just I hope that they can bring the fight up to Arctic, or one of them can. It's you'd hate for this guy to run away and win a championship on a Saturday or something like that. You know what I mean?
Would be a damn shame. It's funny. We were watching. I watched the sprint shootout with Megan earlier, my wife, and she's like, "Oh, what a boring season! Who wins on a Saturday?"
Yeah. Obviously, that doesn't happen in our series because we don't race on Saturdays. But yeah, it's it should be close though. Tony Cal definitely trying to keep within the points with Arctic. Arctic looks like he goes a little bit wide and gets some gravel there, allowing these two to catch up a little bit faster. Moose increasing the gap now between him and Tony. Tony going wide again, going sideways through the grass a little bit. Those rear tires getting dirty once again, and now Moose almost 3/4 of a second ahead of Tony Cal. All that work Tony's been putting in, and then he goes, it's amazing how fast that time can drop just because of one simple mistake. Now, that's going to give Moose a little bit of a breather, however, and hopefully he can catch Arctic, and Tony needs to put his head down and get to driving. Moose puts up a fastest lap now of 135.195. That's a very quick lap.
Yeah, that is pretty rapid, and notably, he did not have a toe for that either. It's just them finding getting hooked up, right? Finding the right lines to take through, carry as much speed, and using the momentum of this car. Again, you see these guys up front, especially, going sideways quite often, just a little bit, not full drifting, but letting that rear end go. And it's obviously helping them carry a lot of more speed through these corners.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eye on these guys. I know Tony Cal is not going to be giving up that easily, and he's going to be trying to catch Moose as much as possible. We are going to jump on down, see how Winters is doing.
Yeah, why don't you jump on board with Jay Lucky real quick? He's having a move on Pato right now. I think Pato had a moment. Pato closing that door just now. Actually, excellent move there by both of them, being respectful. And the waifu energy not giving Jay Lucky that move just yet.
Good job on Pato. It's difficult to learn how to defend and how to drive like that, but Pato hopefully be putting in some quality laps. It does look like Jay Lucky, if Pato's been putting in 141s, Jay Lucky's kind of been all over the place, but we can obviously see he's put in some 140s and his personal fastest lap of a 139.6. So he may have, overall pace on Pato, but if he's a bit more, or if they're a bit more inconsistent, then that may give Pato the ability to maintain 10th place. However, 3/4 of a second is not much of a gap, and it looks like Jay Lucky is gaining even a bit more on Pato as they're going down this straight here.
Yeah, I think it really just comes down to Pato again losing so much time under braking and in the corners. Obviously, defense is one thing, speed is another. And speed is probably your ultimate defense, but making your car as wide as possible is a great one to have as well.
Yeah, well, it's funny because in practice with Pato on Friday, we were talking about how much you can really start cutting corners. And I know for me personally as well, it took a minute as we actually see that gap now increasing to over a second. So Pato quick through the middle of the track, which is good to see. It's about learning like what advantages you can take on the track and whatnot, and where you're able to shorten the distance you're driving or make a corner as straight as possible, right? And Pato putting up a new fastest lap for himself at 140.312. However, Jay Lucky catching up once again. So it looks like Pato may have some pace in the middle of the track, but overall it looks like Lucky may have him.
We got to jump up front. I'm sorry. Cut to Tony Cal. Tony Cal having a move on Arctic.
Yeah, he looked like he was in first for just a moment there.
Yeah, I didn't catch what happened. I just checked it less than 10 seconds ago, and something changed. But the three of them grouped up once more. Arctic looks like Arctic slipped up, and Tony Cal having a look on the inside of turn one. Tony Cal making it stick for now. Moose making it stick. Arctic lost 2 places in 1 turn. It's not going to last long, though. He is not going to go down without a fight. I wonder if that was, them encountering Crispy, who they lapped, maybe helped them catch up. Doesn't matter now, though, because Tony Cal has taken the race lead as he's going around and he's looking to disappear as quickly as possible. Arctic, I don't know, is long for P3. Moose will have to do a lot of defending, but also will want to do everything he can to catch up to Tony Cal. As Moose going wide, allowing Arctic on the inside to turn 4 there. Arctic has reclaimed P2 now as they're heading down the longest straight here. Moose and Arctic notably going to have a toe effect on Tony Cal. And Moose, I don't know if he's going to have a look or just try to keep catching up to Tony Cal here. Yeah, Moose doing the smart thing, just trying to keep as fast as possible. Tony Cal keeping the gap at 6/10, just under 7/10. It hasn't decreased too much from that straight as he goes a little bit sideways on the exit there. And these three just fighting at it once more, going around here. This fast right-hander, you can carry so much more speed than anticipated through there. Arctic gets one wheel off the track as Moose has a thought on the outside, but that's just not a place to go on the outside there. It's far too narrow, and will really get himself back to P3. But Tony Cal, now the gap up to 8 tenths or so. Yep, 8 tenths, 8.5 tenths coming down the main street, just trying to increase that gap ever more. These three just don't know when to quit.
No, these three, I mean, we have just under 10 minutes, about 9 minutes left of this race, and we know that these three are going to be going all out to fight for what spot on the podium they're going to take. And unless there's something absolutely horrific, it looks like these three will be the podium sitters. Knock on wood, catch the curse. Hopefully it doesn't happen for any of these guys. Well, you're happy to see that. Love to see some hard driving. Moose going exceptionally wide at that turn there. I don't know where track limits is off for that. Maybe you have to have all four wheels off to the left of the ramp there, but
there, right?
Yeah, but you know, good for him. He's still in it. He's still going. We know that Arctic is going to be pushing real hard to catch Tony, as Tony is slightly opening up the gap even more. He's trying real hard to make sure that these guys cannot catch up to him.
Yeah, now behind at P5 and 6, Labu has been slowly catching on Gilly to the point where the gap is now just over half a second. Great form from Labu, honestly. That's very impressive to see. Gilly just not able to hook it up around here, it looks like.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Gilly was, like we said earlier, the top four were substantially faster than I mean, Gilly took fifth, and he was, I think, over a second slower than the top four. And that's not to say he's not doing a good job, but obviously he's just maybe having a bit of a hard time with this track or this car, or, you know, the combination or anything. If Labu is able to take fifth place from Gilly, that'll be a fantastic finish for Labu. Currently 8th place in the championship, tied actually for 7th with Purple, but notably only 5 points behind Gilly, who's in 6th. So if he's able to take this position from Gilly, that would be a fantastic finish for him as we're coming down to the last few races of the season. Also, notably, we just want to say what's up to Sim Racer in chat. How you doing? Hope your day's going well. We are just finishing up. We got about 7 minutes left of this first race of the day here at Brands Hatch. We're jumping back up front. Tony Cow going sideways once again on those on the curbs, but he's able to make it stick. Arctic right behind him, and Moose as well, trying to keep up.
Yeah, the three of them just, again, going at it continuously for 30 minutes at a time. It is exhausting, but it makes for fantastic racing. Tony Cal, I'm sure, pretty happy with the position he's in right now, but just as quickly as we saw it change for Arctic, it can change for Tony Cal, and he's just going to have to keep it together, right? That's consistent and fast.
That's what he's going to have to do.
Name of every race, really, but we know how quick Arctic is to capitalize on any mistakes.
We're going to jump back on with our guys in the back. It looks like Jay Wilkie did end up taking Pato in 11th place now, but notably Crispy in the pits, so not too sure what happened there. That would be I think that's a DNF technically.
DNF or DQ at that point, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunate to see. Obviously, we know he wasn't having the greatest race ever, but unfortunate to see. Otherwise, Pato, it looks like he's going to be taking 11th home unless Jay Lucky ends up having a moment or two. And, kudos to Pato for holding track position for so long. Did a really, really good job. Has been really consistent overall with his lap times. And we'll see if he's able to make anything happen with the reverse grid. We'll jump back.
Labu is now within 2 tenths of Giller as they're rounding around the start-finish line. I'm impressed. Mr. Labu, the pumpkin man himself, having some pace today. And again, I think a return of form in the last couple of weeks we've seen from Mr. Labu. Not quite close enough to have a look here, and I think Giller maybe outbursts.
I don't know. Labu does slam into Gilly, though. He carries too much speed. Looks like Gilly's able to save it. Unfortunate for him. You know, Gilly ended up going wide into Druids, and unfortunately that's not the move, I think. You really want to hug the curb as much as possible. I don't know if he was trying to give space for Labu or something, but happy to see that. Maybe
I think Gilly just missed his braking point. And Labu probably was on the gas too early, leading to some understeer and into the side of Gilly. But it looks like Labu did the right thing and backed off, allowing Gilly to take this pace back and build up the gap. And I think that's the right thing to do. You settle it here, you don't settle it afterwards. Labu, though, looking to come back to Gilly with a fight. The gap now just under 3 tenths. and I think that's perfectly acceptable, for our league right now.
I think it's a fantastic. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic race for Labu. You know what it is? It is October. It is spooky month, and he must be feeling it.
It's pumpkin spice season.
It's pumpkin spice season, and he's got his Uggs on and everything. But
OG Sim Racer, I was wondering what happened to you. I'm glad you're okay. Glad you got some good sleep, it sounds like. But unfortunately, you're missing out on quite a good race so far, it seems, especially our top three. Moose going wide there at the turn, and Tony Cal and Arctic, notably a 1.8 second gap from Arctic to Moose now. We've seen this before, though. They kind of like rubber band back and forth, or pendulum swing, however you want to put it. Less than 4 minutes left of this race, though. Tony Cal doing a great job to hold on to the lead, but Arctic's not too far behind. And, I got to say, I meant to say it before, but Moose seems to be invincible to Tony Cal's intimidation. It's something we've seen drivers succumb to time and time again, as they are approaching, who was that, Pato in front of them. Pato always respective of the blue flags. I don't think they'll have a problem getting
Pato's so respectful, he ruins his laps to get out of the way. The last thing he wants to do is be a part of this fight, and unfortunate for him. Although, however, either Moose is having a hell of a lap, or because Pato says, I'm out of your way, guys. It's okay. I'm last anyway. It's a-okay. And he just wants to get out of the way of these guys. Moose now just under a second away from these guys. That time has been brought down. I don't know if it's because, I don't think it's because they met up with Pato and exchanged numbers. But notably, the gap between these guys is equidistant now. And Arctic just in a sandwich at the moment of 8/10 basically. And
that's pretty incredible.
He's got some time to make up, though. He's desperately going to be wanting to take first away. As we know, Arctic is just 10 points shy of first place in the championship from Tony. Tony with 229 points at the moment. Arctic with 219. So we'll have to see exactly what happens after today, but he's definitely wanting to try and get ahead of him. I think Tony Cal has had a pretty good return to form. He had a couple of bad races, especially at Interlagos. Seems like, even at Otapas had a really bad finish at one of them. So Tony definitely trying to make up some ground and maintain that first place in the championship. We'll have to see. He's now over a second ahead of Arctic, and Moose may be catching Arctic as well. We'll have to see. It's going to come down to the last couple of laps here. A minute and a half left in this race. Arctic, notably, I just happened to see his fastest lap with a 134.9. So Arctic, got the bonus point for pole position through quali, and also potentially going to be getting a fastest lap here. That's going to help him out quite a bit as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's not something Tony Cal wants to see. But again, Tony Cal doesn't have the toe effect right now. So it's possible he could get fastest lap, but it's obviously going to be much easier for Arctic behind. Notably in P6 is the only other fight we have going on right now between Giller and Labu. Labu not able to make it stick just yet. Again, the gap keeps pendulum. It's closing, it's opening, it's closing, it's opening. Giller doing a good job to defend, though. Labu not giving himself the chance, really, though, to make it happen. I'm going to keep an eye on this, but he's only got one more lap, really, to make it happen. So we'll see. This is probably his final chance.
Yeah, unless Gilly puts the toe on the line, I think Gilly may be able to. Gilly's a great defensive driver we've seen before in different races. So unless he puts a toe on the line, I don't think Labu's going to be able to take it from him. But we'll see. These guys are getting closer and closer as well, though. So Labu may just end up sending it somewhere. And this will end up being the last lap, I believe, of this race. So I have to keep our eye on these guys. We're also keeping an eye on the guys up front, though. Tony Cal, 1 second ahead of Arctic at the moment. Arctic just over half second ahead of Moose. They are on the final lap as the timer crosses 30 minutes. Arctic taking P1 away from Tony, and Moose passing Tony, taking second place. Tony had a moment, and immediately Arctic was able to capitalize on that. Moose was able to capitalize on that, and Tony Cal just unable to bring it home after such a long race. The few final corners, and unfortunately for him,
Moose goes wide.
What's gonna happen? He's gonna be able to maintain second place still from Tony. Arctic must be extremely happy with that, but Tony's got to be kicking himself for that finish. Unbelievable. We just swapped to them in time to see Arctic taking first place. We're gonna see Paddle cross the line, Winter crossing the line in fourth. Unfortunately for Winter, having an oopsie early in the race and not able to make the most of it. Labu notably though passed Gilly.
Yeah, it happened. It finally happened for Labu. Gilly, I think went wide, but at the same point, Labu wouldn't have made the turn if he wasn't able to use Gilly as a sort of guardrail. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gilly, puts it up for review.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Labu, Moreno taking home 7th, Purple in 8th. Demon's gonna end up coming home 9th. Oh, Tony Cal having to end up the issue with the wheel disconnecting again. Bro,
that is not great.
It couldn't wait like 3 more corners. It had to happen right
seriously.
then and there.
OG, can I hop in race number 2? I am not sure. That's a question we'll have to ask Tony Cal as he cools off notably and has to reset the lobby. Let me find out for you. OG, give me a moment. Wally, why don't you show us go through the results here?
Absolutely. Jay Lucky hopping in chat. That was a pretty good race. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, Jay Lucky. Happy to see you and happy to have you here. We're going to take a look at these results once again. So congrats to Arctic with the fastest laps, taking the fastest lap in quality and the race and taking first place. Unfortunate for Tony Cal having a wheel issue. Mooseman taking second place at the last minute, even going wide at the final turn, and he's able to maintain second place. Tony Cal coming home 3rd. Steezy giving Tony a hard time blaming the wheel. Jay Lucky saying I spent pretty much the whole time battling Paddle. Hey, I'm glad to hear. Paddle has only picked up the game for like 2 months now, 3 months now maybe, and so giving him some battling experience is good. Happy to hear that. Winter taking 4th, started 4th and taking 4th home, able to recover at least a bit from his initial oopsie, I guess, that put him back into, I think, 8th or 9th place. Demon saying, don't mind me, just on a Sunday drive through the British countryside. Demon, how you feeling about it? I'm happy to see you racing at the very least. It's tough without practice, and I'm sure you're not feeling the greatest either, but happy to have you for sure. Jay Lucky in 10th, and Pato in 11th. Crispy, I guess, ended up finishing the race. I'm not too sure what happened there because they were in the pits for a little bit. Not sure where the ruling is going to be there, but congrats to our podium sitters and everyone for what largely looked like some clean racing from what we were able to see. Now, coming up is the reverse grid. So, unfortunately, Gran Turismo does not have an automatic system for terminating a reverse grid. Tony Cal is going to have to do it himself, I guess, after making sure that his wheel is okay. So we may have just a moment here while we're doing this. And so the reverse grid. So because, let's pull up these results again. So Arctic will be starting at the very back because he finished first in the first race. And if Crispy's racing, he'll be first. If not, Paddle will be looking to lead another few laps and update his livery on his rear bumper. I'm not too sure if Crispy's gonna be staying in or not. Demon saying I feel like shit, but I stayed on that lead lap. Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm glad at least you felt like you were able to pick up a controller or race. Are you a controller or are you racing on the wheel today? Curious to see. Tony Cal sending me a video on Discord of his oh.
Yeah, it is not great.
That is not great at all. You hate to see that.
Yeah, he's having some serious issues with that.
That is unfortunate to see. Yeah, I know people having issues with the wheels from time to time. Maybe they're overheating sometimes or what, but definitely hate to see that for sure. So this next race, grid, we know that the reverse grid tends to bring out some less than desirable driving sometimes, especially going into T1, unfortunately. And it's not something you like to see. I know everyone's anxious to get ahead and stuff like that, but always have to remember to not send it on on T1. The race is not made up in that first couple of turns. My wheel never overheats. Yeah, I think he's using the Fanatec as well. Obviously, it depends on like your room and stuff too, though, right?
Yeah, that room of his, that office of his can get quite hot.
It does for sure. Pato sliding in my DM saying, "Dude, I'm sweating. Is that what racing is supposed to feel like? Because what a rush." So, Jay Lucky giving Pato quite the rush here. Happy to see.
Yeah, that was a good race overall, you know. Notably, Winter obviously had to make up a lot of places, but once he was back up into P4, Winter did not really close the gap whatsoever to the guys in front.
Yeah, it looked like I don't know if he just didn't have the pace or what, but he was not able to make that. I mean, notably, though, he was in no man's land, right? Whereas at least the guys were fighting with a toe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, you know, we'll see. I know these guys are well, nobody's racing at the moment, but we're just going to jump in here and wait for it anyway. Occasionally, we have the guys doing donuts. Generally, we like to take this time between races to practice your reverse grid start, because, you know, the guys who are starting up front usually don't start up front, and so you need to be able to know your braking points and everything else, as I think we just saw Demon head out on track for that.
Hey, OG, if you're listening, jump on. You're going to be placed at the back of the grid for the reverse grid race. Tony Cal notably needed a moment to just get up and breathe after that. I can definitely understand being frustrated with the technological issues. It's something that we have faced many times, and it just never stops frustrating you.
No, it's unfortunate when that happens, and especially after 30 minutes of racing and racing like they were doing, for it to end like that is something you don't want to see. But at the very least, you know, he came into this weekend leading the championship. He's got another race to make up. We'll see where these points end up being at after the fact. It's very close between those two, though, and you know, hopefully Tony. Yeah, that's gonna blow. Yeah, if you lose because of a technical issue.
Yeah, exactly right.
Maybe just use
that's
controller.
Twice now, I think. Just use controller.
I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, it was the VR last time, right? Are you racing the VR today or not? Probably, I would assume. Yeah, you got it, so. Yeah, that office just gets hot, man. I know you've done a lot to try and oh yeah, Everlight too. That doesn't help. Plus I know you've done a lot to try and cool it down in there too, but man, it's not easy. It's not easy, guys. Whoever said racing a car was easy being a sim racer, come on now. Excellent.
Oh, he's got to use lights though because of the VR issue. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
Last time it just like didn't detect that he was doing anything.
All right. So Southern Gamer from chat has jumped in. He will be, they will be at the back of the grid. We're just waiting on everyone to finish readying up for the race, and then we'll be underway with our reverse grid. So, Ryan, well, I guess Paddle unfortunately will not be leading this race, so he will not be able to lead a lap unless he passes Southern Gamer. But what do we think? How soon do you think Arctic is going to be taking first?
Oh man, I think it's going to be within lap 1, and I hate to see that.
Yeah, but, it just seems to be his luck. I mean, I don't know. You know, we know that there tends to be a bit of chaos leading into turn 1 and you know, first couple of turns with these reverse grids. But Arctic seems to dodge that a lot. I don't know if, you know, if this man turns ghosting on, he's hacking the game or what, but
yeah, he just seems to find the gap, and not even just the gap, but you know, he seems to avoid a lot of issues that I just don't know. I mean, obviously he's not always lucky, right? In Willow Springs, he was not so fortunate, to the point where I think there was what's the word I'm looking for? Like he got hit from behind, which caused him to hit the driver in front, and it was just a
chain
domino
reaction.
effect. Yeah. And then he got a penalty because of it. And that's not right. He still finished well off, I think, if I remember correctly. But typically just finds that place and can throw his car in whatever gap opens up and speeds away. So I'm calling it by the end of lap 1. What about you?
Yeah. If it's not the end of lap 1, it'll be the end of lap 2, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I think it just seems like it happens. I mean, maybe someone's gonna make their car extra wide. Maybe these guys can kind of weld their Miatas together and just be the width of the track.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice, huh?
That'd be kind of fun. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But here we go. We will be starting here in just a few moments. Looks like Tony Cal will be getting the lobby going, and we'll be able to spectate the second race of the day, a reverse grid here at Brands Hatch. Man, I still love this track. Every time I'm here, I'm like, I forget it a little bit, because I'm not racing all the time.
Oh, same here. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, that's right. I love this track. It's similar to Watkins Glen for me. I don't know why. It just feels like it's a good place to be.
I just like it here, and even Mount Panorama, not that the tracks are similar whatsoever, but just the environment, right? Watkins Glen being upstate in New York, this being out in a field, and Mount Panorama even just being in the middle of, seemingly nowhere, right? I think that's more so what links the three of them together for me, but they're all fantastic circuits, each demanding in their own. I dare say Watkins Glen feels the easiest to me of the three. But still, fantastic races, and I think this is very well suited for the Miata. It's a lot of fun to chuck into the corners.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we will be starting in just a second. I think Tony just can give himself a moment to make sure his wheel doesn't decide to, not work again. So these guys get a little bit of extra practice. I guess Southern could use a few hot laps around here. Being that they're joining up for the first time. So
notably important here are the guys that normally, with the reverse grid, it's very easy to miss your braking points, especially if, number one, you're not used to starting in front, but number two, especially if you're not used to starting in the back, it's a totally different game.
Absolutely it is, yeah. It's it'll be different. Someone though who will be starting kind of in the middle, Labu. So I mean closer to the back than maybe the previous races for sure, right? But I'm curious to see how Labu does. It seems like they were able to hook it up around this track quite well, and it'll be interesting to see just what they're able to put together, if they're able to make anything come out of this this reverse grid.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if they can even just finish in P5 where they're starting, I think they'd be pretty happy with that. Again, it's unfortunate that I can't ever say that, our back markers that are starting in the front are going to finish the race there. I do hope, though, that our current back markers, which are usually front runners, have a bit more of a struggle getting through the pack. But again, they know the track well. They obviously are faster drivers, and they can really capitalize on the other people's mistakes. And that's the name of the game in a lot of cases, especially where inconsistency comes into play. If you can't just race for 30 minutes without making a mistake, then you're just opening the door, obviously, for other drivers to take that away from you.
Yeah, no, that's like absolutely what happens. And I think we may be starting here in just Marino and Demon. You guys gonna hug it out? Steezy cheering for Pato in chat. Yeah, it's man, I'm glad that Pato enjoyed himself the last time.
Same here. That was an awesome thing to see.
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. I just had to yawn, but I didn't want to do it directly into the microphone for everyone. It's so predictions for this race. Assuming there's no tech issues, Purple slams into the rear end of Marino. Assuming no tech issues, I think Tony's gonna be extremely hungry for a win here. I'm gonna have to give it to Tony. And I think Winter is also going to be hungry for a better finish. Now, Winter wasn't here for the beginning of the season, but they're still holding 4th place at the moment before today's races with 114 points. So they have quite a gap to Moose. They have quite a gap to Moose though with 189 at the start of today.
Right. So I mean, I can't give it up to either. I think Tony Cow's going to look for the win, especially because he was just robbed of it because of his wheel, and I'm glad he still came in 3rd. You know. But again, it's just so hard to predict, especially again with the reverse grid. It slowly, it can slow people down, but they just find a way.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Real quick, I'm just curious to see what, or is it a wheel issue? Okay, yeah, we're I think we're just still figuring out the wheel real quick. So apologies, everyone. Hope appreciate your patience here. You see Purple going backwards. This, I think Purple is misunderstanding what a reverse grid is. Imagine, like you do we're racing Brands Hatch, but we're just going in reverse the entire time.
Well, Purple wanted to try racing down when we were in Mount Panorama, but we told him that's not how it's done.
That's not how it's done, yeah.
This man really just driving in reverse around the grid, around the circuit.
I would have just, okay, if I wanted to test at turn 1, okay, never mind, he's in the pits. I thought he was going to go for a run down turn 1 real quick, and I thought he was just reversing his entire way in there. I guess he was just I want to turn my car around.
I mean, you ever try to drive these tracks in reverse? It's miserable.
Oh, excuse me. Alrighty. So yeah, I think Tony's gonna take first. I'm gonna give Arctic second, and I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna say Winter third.
Winter third. I would love to see Gilly return to podium. Unfortunately, I don't know that his pace is there today. I just, whether he's not getting the practice in or he's just not hooked up in this car. I do think that he's makes more of an impression in his AMG in the manufacturer series.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that for sure.
And I also feel way more comfortable in a Group 3 car versus these. But again, like, especially if you don't get to practice him with these cars and you're used to racing proper race cars, otherwise, it takes a while to sort of get into the groove with these MX-5s or anything else, really. I mean, before I was doing practice laps for MX-5, I was racing the new Type R around Suzuka, and while it was a blast, I got in the MX-5, like, holy crap, this thing is so much more nimble, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just such a different driving style.
Yeah, truly. Marino and Demon have a little kiss.
Now we see here 2 MX-5s in the wild. Oop. The blue one gets a bit aggressive, and it goes after the black one.
It's flaunting what it shows.
And now returns to the tarmac, trying to do donuts to impress the female.
Oh, so Marino is definitely the female. Or
absolutely.
Demon is trying to...
Marino is definitely the receiver. of both Burns and anything else you can imagine.
Well, I hate to say it, but Demon's in the gravel where he spent plenty of time now.
He's making himself a home.
Yeah, exactly right. A little burrowing down like a lizard or something.
I wish there was a bit of a free cam in that we could do, because this one angle is well, I guess, yeah.
Oh my god, I thought that was the car from Cars, Lightning McQueen or whatever.
Ka-chow!
Yeah.
Speaking
of cars, there's someone around the corner from me that has a truck that they did up like that rusted truck in it.
Larry the Cable Guy?
No, well, yeah, his character in it.
Sounds like, Tony Khan's gonna be busting out the controller. All right, I know he did very well with controller and when he was visiting up here.
That's right.
But maybe I take back my first place with Tony Khan. We'll see though. He did a very good job.
See, I mean, they did work, man. They did work. Granted, that I think they made that position up at Interlagos in the MX5 because of a penalty coming from Arctic in the MX5. If I believe that's what happened. But yeah, you know, he didn't get any practice in. At least he got some practice in last time for this. I can't leave the pit. Purple's saying, yeah, that's because you were driving backwards and they stopped you from driving.
Is that what happened? Like you were just I'm very confused.
They're like, no, we don't do that here.
Looks like Tony is on the controller. He is left of the pit. And
apologize for this extended downtime. Technical difficulties. The name of the game today.
Are you getting paid overtime for this?
You're getting paid? Come on, Twitch. We need a few more people to. We need a few more people to follow, I think, and chat, right? And
we need to stream more often, is what it is.
We hit that. No, we've been.
No, we don't. We only stream once a week. You need to stream more often than that.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, we have a new follower. Actually, Lux Racing League followed 2 hours ago, but then Art.
Cat Anima. As the race is starting here.
A good thing, because I almost said ketamine. And
me too.
Race is starting reverse grid here at Brands Hatch. And let's see here. The lights are coming up. Crispy is leading, followed by Pato, followed by Jay Lucky. The lights are up, and the lights are now out as we're racing the reverse grid here at Brands Hatch. Looks like Arctic may have had jumped the gun a little bit. Winter in the wall all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on here. We are purple down. What's happening? Was everyone caught sleeping or what?
There?
I am.
Pato's in the sand. Pato's done. Winter was straight up in the wall there. Crispy leading the way. Let's see how long he can keep it here. And yeah, I think Arctic may have jumped the gun. OG Sim Racer's wife is in chat cheering on her husband.
Where did Southern?
See how he gets along here.
Wait, Southern's at the back, isn't he?
Yes, Southern is that bright red car.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Excellent. Welcome. Alrighty, I don't know what happened at that start. I'm very confused.
They were as confused as I was last
we're
week.
going 3 wide. Marino currently in first place, though, going uphill for this main straight of the track here. Demon going to slot him behind him, fighting Crispy, though, side by side. This could end dangerous for one of these two guys. Labu right behind in 4th place. Gillian 5th. He seems to love that place. What are we surprised? Arctic and Moose in 7th and Tony in 8th. Not surprised whatsoever as we see Marino and Demon going side by side. Marino going on the outside, goes too deep, ends up in the gravel and is trapped, and he now falls way behind. Labu in first place currently. Crispy, these guys are trading places. Oh no, Demon!
That is not a good place.
That is not a good place to be.
Got a yellow flag. Giller out in the dirt.
Holy moly, guys! What are we doing here?
Yeah, no, this track is not that wide. This track is not wide enough for those shenanigans. Giller and Demon now down to P12 and 13. They're not going to be happy about that. I mean, that is just ridiculous.
Not by any means. Tony Calp in 4th, Moose in 3rd, Arctic in 2nd. Labu leading a race for the first time in I can't remember how long.
I think this is our first manufacturer races.
I think so.
They were in McLaren.
Yeah. And then everyone found pace, I think. But
yeah, I think so.
All right, well, we said by the end of lap 1, and that's pretty much exactly what happened. That's not exactly how I expected it.
Yeah, I don't really care for what just happened there. That's definitely going to need some reviews, because that seemed like a bit much for now. Arctic, Moose, and Tony to be in P2, 3, and 4 out of nowhere. Winter up to P5.
Yeah, Steezy saying, thank God I wasn't betting on this. Yeah, me too, my friend. Me too. That was, I mean, listen, we won close racing, but you can't be going 2 or 3 wide the entire track here.
No, you can't.
Without there being some incidents. My boys are in shambles right now. Yeah, man, what do we do? This is what happens. Our mid guy,
our mid driver.
Our mid driver misses a race, and now everyone's trying to be more mid than the next guy.
Jay Lucky up to P9. Marino and Southern having a run on each other, but Marino staying ahead in P7 currently. Crispy still in P6, kind of in no man's land, but Marino's not too far behind currently, looking to play some catch up. Mr. Labu still holding off Arctic, but Arctic is right behind. Looking to see what that pumpkin tastes like. I've heard it's pretty gorgeous, and that helmet definitely reflective of that.
You see going side by side. Arctic taking first place going down into turn one. Labu now in second, right behind Arctic. Moose coming up right behind Labu, and Tony Cal holding fourth place for now. Although we can tell, his best lap at 136.2 on the second lap, and he's got Winter right behind him. Yeah, incident rooms. I'm gonna turn Discord off, I think, for the day.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna mute our Discord for sure.
Yeah, can we just do Mulligan and do this again?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see that replay. That was terrible to see, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like I witnessed murder.
Yeah.
Straight up. I don't feel good no more. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
Marino in the back did get ahead of Crispy. Crispy, unfortunately, with a half-second track limits penalty. Jay Lucky up into P8. Demon made some moves, though, up into P9. Gilly, though, notably down to P13.
Yeah,
he had another moment, and Southern down into P12, so both of them...
Gilly had a penalty to serve, and he just had a train of cars behind him, so that penalty placement is pretty tough because it's at, the back straight, and it's just like when you're about to gain some speed. Pato going wide, unfortunately, but he manages to save it and holds on to live another day. Pato not too. I mean, he's about a second and a half off of purple right now. If Pato can keep it on track and keep it clean for a little bit, I'd love to see him be able to pull up with purple and maybe get into that toe a little bit. Purple, though, however, is a bit closer to Demon ahead of him, and is able to just kind of hold on for now. We'll see what happens. As Crispy, not only does he have the penalty, he's now serving. Not only does he have the penalty, but he was in the grass. Unfortunate for him, but fortunate for Pato to be taking 10th place now.
Yeah, Pato will be happy about that. Happy to fight some people, and it looks like it's a good weekend so far for Pato, and hopefully it continues to be, and he shapes up a little bit more as the season progresses. Absolutely, and of course, nice to see Jay Lucky. Hopefully dodging most of the massacre that occurred lap one, and now up in 8th, and they've got a couple of cars around them, so we'll have to see. Now, Jay Lucky said that most of their first race was battling with Pato. We'll have to see if he's able to fight with others, as we see Purple behind him having a moment. Is Pato going to be able to pass Purple? And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, if he was close enough to capitalize on that mistake, but he is now within a second. And this time, the time difference is now, the delta is just a second. We see Gilly 4 seconds behind Pato. We know that Gilly's got pace, though. Yeah, Gilly's going to fight his way back up. Again, unfortunate that he was a victim of a crime. Gilly was the ultimate victim there. Demon also was a victim. You hate to see it. We keep preaching about turn one, but it's the whole first lap or two, man. Yeah, it's, absolutely horrible to see. And was that Gilly with a penalty as well? I believe that might be Southern. No, that looks like Crispy's in the wall. Yeah, Gilly's got his half-second track limit penalty. Notably up front, Labu is holding off Tony Cal and Winter behind. As I say that, and Labu puts 2 tires in the dirt, and that's it. I see Tony Cal has jumped up into third. Crispy, unfortunately, leaving the room. Not too sure what happened there. Yeah, they left. They went to the pits the first race and now leaving the room. I wonder if they're having some technical difficulties or something. Not sure, but you know what I am seeing is Pato gaining here on Purple. Pato going on the inside of turn 1, takes P9 away from Purple. What a move by Pato. What a brave move. That was excellent. I didn't mean to jump up with those guys. Excellent to see, but I am going to jump back up with Tony because I saw Winter right alongside him right now, but right behind him now. Yeah, that's it. That one, Tony defending. Tony notably on a controller, not having any practice, carrying too much speed there, and able to maintain the spot surprisingly. Man, I'm shocked Winter didn't take that. Maybe he's trying to work together now. Winter is infamous for trying to work together and then bumping the person at the wrong moment. Yeah, and then causing them to spin out. I was extremely impressed by that move from Pato. That was awesome to see. Yeah, that was great to see. Now, notably, Southern is down in his own race currently in P12. Has to keep it clean and tidy. Again, jump it in. Just gotta get used to the car, I guess. But Gilly up into Pete's head now, not far behind Pato, making moves. Let's see what Pato can do. I'm curious if he can pull off the defense like he pulled off that move on purple.
Let's see. Old Gilly is all over him. Gilly is like, this is my track, boy. You best get out of my way. And as we see here, going alongside, Gilly's able to carry more speed through that turn. And now Gilly is taking P9 away from Pato. Unfortunate for him. Pato not really giving it a fight, though, as you know, there's not much room to do so there. If you have more speed, you're going to get it. And Gilly had the toe as well. However, Pato now has purple behind him in P11. We'll have to see if he's able to maintain 10th place for now.
Yeah, I think Pato definitely can do some battles with Urkel. We'll have to see if he can keep it clean and tidy. Again, that consistency from Pato is going to be what he's going to need to stay ahead. But notably, Pato's laps have they're a little bit all over the place, but notably faster than Purple right now. Purple, I think, maybe settling into the groove, but we'll see what he can do. As Moose is right up behind Arctic.
This would be absolutely massive for Moose if he's able to take first place.
Absolutely,
especially with Tony being a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Just not having
handicap today.
Yeah, a bit of a handicap because he's on the controller. He's not used to racing on the controller. You know, he's still holding third, which is really good. But you know, obviously Moose being third in the championship right now, he wants to take these points where he can get them. Obviously, this is the best thing possible for Arctic as well, being that he entered today in second place. And unless there's something massive that comes Cody's way today, it looks like, you know, he won't be finishing in front of him, unfortunately, because of the tech issue. Sim Queen saying these cars take a little bit to get used to. They do indeed take. It's such a different way of driving, especially compared to the actual race car. You know, like GT3s, GT4s, and above. It's definitely they definitely take some getting used to. Definitely a different way of driving. As we see, Winter still behind Tony, and I mean, I don't know if it's how much of is it Tony blocking him or is it Winter just trying to push him along. I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to keep an eye on the gap between Tony and Moose and Winter, right? It's currently 5.7 seconds. If that closes down, then we say that they're working together. If it doesn't, then Winter is just having a hard time getting past. But Tony Cal currently holding it down with controller, looking pretty quickly. Now, off screen, I just wanted to note, Labu did have a moment with Marino and caused Marino to spin out, but Labu, being the great guy he is, slowed down to a crawl, let Marino get past him, and hopefully that will absolve him of all wrongdoing and get him a little bit of forgiveness. Marino notably having a moment of the first race as well. And we're on board with Pato chasing down Urkel, who got past him, it looks like. You know, Pato had a fantastic move on Purple earlier this race, but Purple's got that pace and that consistency. Look at, he's got a 139 Pato going off into the dirt, but again, once again, we are not in your Jeep, and that is not how we do it. Loving the Urkel on every single livery of Purple is just such a good, funny move, a brand, if you will.
A brand.
Purple Urkel's brand. It's his branding, you know?
No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And now we see Purple with he's getting some open air now, so I'm curious to see what this lap time is going to end up being for Purple. Now that he's up
Moose
behind.
did make it past Arctic.
Moose did get past Arctic. Very nice to see. And but Arctic is right behind him as well, so these two are just going to be running off by themselves.
Arctic, though, the gap between Tony Cal and Arctic, 3.9 seconds, so they are catching up, and probably maybe due to the fighting and maybe due to Winter bump drafting Tony Cal along.
I honestly wouldn't doubt it. And we see Moose going wide once again. Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, and that was quite the camera pan there. Winter and Tony, they're smart drivers. And, you know, Winter obviously wants to finish better than P4 as well. So, you know.
As Moose goes off track, has a half-second track penalty, goes to the gravel, letting Arctic easily claim P1. And guess who's right behind Moose is Tony Cal and Winter. This is all they wanted. This is all they were doing.
Exactly what they wanted. Winter cutting across Moose as they go through this final turn of the track. And Arctic now 3.5 seconds ahead of Tony Cal. So Arctic loving the fact that Moose just had that moment. Tony Cal loving the fact that he just had that moment and that Winter was there to push him along. If he didn't gain that time, I don't think he would have been there to be able to capitalize on that. Now, fortunate for Tony, he's got Winter between himself and Moose. Unfortunate for Moose, he's got Winter between himself and Tony.
That's right. As it looks, they're getting a little bit sloppy there, but they got to keep it tidy, keep it together. If they want to catch up to Arctic, they could do this. They could work together. The important thing with bump drafting is you have to do it in a straight line only. And I think that's maybe what some drivers get. If you don't hit them dead on, you're going to cause the person in front of you to spin out. If you do it on a turn, you're going to cause the person in front of you to spin out. You can only do it on a straight when you're right behind them. Now, I don't know if he's close enough to see it. We're not going to see it just here. There's a, 0.3 of a gap between Winter and Tony. But Tony just giving that slipstream, towing him along. Notably in the back, Gilly is up at the P8, got past Jay Lucky, now hunting down Demon, who's in P7. Mr. Labu, after letting Marino get past, also let Demon get past because that's how close Demon was to Marino. Labu did get past Demon, though, and is now hunting down Marino once more. What a good guy again, hopefully trying to atone for his sins, his wrongdoing, by just slowing down and letting Marino back past. But I think it's a really good way, like we said before, of sort of negotiating your mishaps while in mid-race.
Yeah,
right?
settling on the track and not afterward. Yeah, I mean, obviously there are a few things, like, again, we'll have to take a look at, see what the hell happened lap one, and, kind of decide from there. But as far as something like that, where, you may cause an incident, yeah, if you're able to place or give the place back on track, then I think that's the right way to do it. I think everybody respects that, and it's good to see that sportsmanship coming from Labu, and it's definitely something that should be, mirrored across the rest of the grid. So happy to see that.
Yeah, I think it's something I want to bring up. Should be emulated, to be honest, because that's almost, if you're in the wrong, that's it's similar to marshals giving out 5-second penalties here or there. He slowed down, waited for the man to catch up and pass him, and then started going again, and he gave up an additional spot because of it. Right,
yeah, absolutely. It's something that you'll have to see. I'm just checking back with our southern gamer over here. Having a rough time. Obviously, like we said earlier, these cars do take a moment to get used to, and to be just be jumping into a race, it's tough. I give credit for doing so, and hope you just have a good time, feel the car out, because I think this is a great series. I don't think we'll be doing this in season 2, but it could always come back, and I think
we'll have something similar.
We'll have something similar for sure. It's always a fun time, even if it's just a casual lobby. It's a good time, I think, for sure. So, and you know what? If it's something different to drive, and a different driving style, I think that can only improve your overall skill and technique. If you can kind of master a different kind of car, then I think that's, you're probably going to be better off for it. So happy to see Southern here. And, if Pato has a moment, he can end up be fighting Pato. We are just over halfway through with this reverse grid race. And, Pato's got 15 seconds, but that time could come down very easily if he has a moment, or Southern finds, some more pace, I should say.
Absolutely. Now, up front, Winter did get past Tony Cal. I was wondering if and when Tony might let Winter go by, so Winter could, Tony, could get the tow rather than Winter, because Winter on the wheel is going to be faster than Tony on controller. And now, though, Tony's got Moose right behind him, so Tony's not in a place he wants to be. And but further back, Mr. Labu is chasing after Marino, very, very close now. So we've got a couple of battles on our hands and on our screens. Gilly chasing after Demon, making up those places he was so wrongfully stripped away from.
Yeah, Gilly once again being bullied to hell. Unfortunate play. It always seems to be the wrong place at the wrong time, but it definitely leads to some tiring and hard races. Tony going a bit wide. Moose having a run here on Tony Cal, looking side by side. He's at his rear wheel. He is on the inside. We'll see if Tony gives him the room. Looks like he does. Who's going to be able to carry more speed? I think Moose is going to have this position, but we'll have to see. They are still side by side, going across the start-finish line. Moose pushes Tony a little bit, pushing him a little bit wide. We'll see what happens as we come on down to this first turn here. It looks like Moose may have secured that position, but we'll have to see. Tony is not going to give it up that easily. And we are once again side by side going into Druids. Tony having a look on the inside here. Moose possibly carrying a little bit more speed. And Moose now going to have the inside line for this next turn, but these two are still side by side. Moose inching forward ever so slightly, and now Tony tucking behind him, going uphill. I think that will be it. I think Moose is now pretty successfully past Tony Cal. Again, on the controller, it's, you know, he's not used to it. It's been hard. I hate to be giving this man excuses. He can come up with them himself, but it is something to note that, you know, he's still maintaining 4th place, and 4th place, not just 4th place, but 27 seconds ahead of 5th place.
Yeah, I mean, that is a massive difference. And they started in the back. I mean, that's a greater gap than we saw in the previous race. And maybe that's because we've got 4 people up front rather than just the 3. But incredible pace coming from them. And notably, in the back, Gailey did make the move happen on Demon, now chasing down Mr. Labu. 2.5 second gap between Labu and Giller in P6 and 7 respectively. So Gilly is slowly making up those points. He's got just over 10 minutes left to do it. Curious to see what place he's going to finish in. Labu was right up next to Marino and looked like he was having a move on him, but I think messed up turn 1 this lap and is now 3.3 seconds behind Marino. You hate to see that, but I think Gilly is really just trying to secure P5. We'll see if he can do it currently. He's still got quite a few seconds to make up.
Yeah, you know, Gilly notably, I mean, he's definitely wanting to try and make the most of this weekend, because Gilly currently entering this weekend in 10th place in the, I'm sorry, not 10th place, I apologize. 6th place in the championship, just 5 points behind Steezy, who is not here today. So Steezy's going to be dropping back a few places, and Gilly is going to be wanting to clean up as many points as possible. So if he can catch Labu with the last 10 minutes of this race, he's going to do everything he can to do so. But notably, Labu's had pace today, man. Labu's done very well. However, we do see it even through this turn 1, Gilly catching Labu quite a bit. So interesting to see. I don't know if Labu's just had a moment. Maybe he went wide at turn 1. But Demon also looks like he's fairly close to Gilly. So we'll have to keep our eye on these guys as the rest of the race proceeds. Let's just check on Purple, kind of in no man's land, trying to catch up to Demon, but he's got 10-second delta between the two. So unfortunately for him, it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to do much. He may have to just take P9 for the second race here today. Jay Lucky in 10th place again in no man's land as well. Maybe just be fighting their own demons and racing against themselves. But you know what? It's the end of the season, and we got people filling out for grid spots. Happy to have you here, and happy to see someone else, a new person on the grid. And we'll see what happens next season as well. But always happy to have more cars on the grid than not. And then, of course, our resident Zugger, 14 seconds behind Jay Lucky. I think the time's come down a little bit. I think it was 15 seconds before. Yeah, not a whole lot. Seconds. But, I mean, either way, I think today was a great day for Pato. I think he got a lot of experience fighting with Jay Lucky in the first race and being able to defend, and had a stellar couple of moves that I definitely will want to see clipped for later on. So happy to see that. We're going to jump back up front with our boys Winter, who's 2.5 seconds, 2.5 to 3 seconds, I'd say, behind Winter, and has about a 1.5 to 2 second gap between him and Moose in third. If we jump on board with Moose, who's desperately trying to catch up to Winter here, now almost a 5 second gap between Moose and Tony Cal in 5th place. Now, I don't know, that may have been a couple moments from Tony, but it also could just be the pace difference now that Tony's on controller compared to Moose.
Yeah, that's more what I would attribute it to. I think I think Winter was honestly willing to help Tony along, and it also helped him along. But once Moose was there, I think Winter had to say, okay, I've got to go fight this battle for P2. And that kind of left Tony in the dust. Tony still fast on a controller as he goes off into the grass. Just a little bit of stream occurs, but faster on a controller than either you and I. But
that's for certain.
Not as fast as his normal self. So I think he'll take P4 today as predicted. And as much as that's unfortunate for him, it's as much damage limitation as it's going to be able to do, unless there's a massive moment up front.
Yeah, and that's certainly possible, as we did see it happen last race. And maybe he's hoping that Arctic's controller runs out of juice or something like that.
We can only hope, right? OG Sim Racer, what happened to you?
Yeah, I saw that you happened to leave the room and just stay in FML. That's unfortunate. Did the cat pull the power plug? We actually had
dog shoot the power cable.
Dude, I can't believe that. Specs, one of our other guys.
That is ridiculous.
His dog chewed through the power cable of the PS5. Unbelievable the length that these guys come up with excuses to not race because they're scared.
Yeah, it really is astounding. Honestly, if you're afraid to race, just why don't you sell your PS5 at that rate, right?
Yeah, I mean, why even get one?
Yeah, this man worked his tail off to get a PS5 in Ireland and just said nah.
Skipped races to be able to afford that.
Yeah. And we haven't seen him. We've seen one race, I think, from Specs.
Yeah, and I wasn't even here for that.
Last week, you weren't even here. Yeah, he did well.
Also, I gotta say, shout out to Shank, man. Our buddy Shank for filling in last week. I don't think I got to say that at the very beginning of the stream. We were a bit preoccupied, but I hope everyone enjoyed having a guest commentator on. Would be something that we'd be interested in the future, possibly too.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell him my old mic and an XLR.
The interface
audio thing. Yes, thank you. Jeez, words are hard today.
Words are very hard today as we're getting down to the last 5 minutes of this race here, and we're having a look at Gilly, who is gonna be catching Labu here in just another lap or so. I'd imagine he's getting extremely close, within a second of Labu, and Labu, the pumpkin man himself, has got to be shaking in his UGG boots. His pumpkin spice latte got to be shaking in his hand, and something that you love to see from Gilly, who he kind of got screwed with what happened on lap 1, and fortunate to see that he's able to do that, that damage mitigation and just make the most out of it the rest of his race. Marino, on the other hand, definitely someone who's going to hope that Labu can keep Gilly behind him, because Marino himself had a moment last race and then ended up going way behind.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. Marino, though, still, again, being strong last race, being strong this race, I think, and overall good finishes for Marino today.
Yeah, let's see. Pardon me for just a moment. I have a hand delivered goodie.
What do you got? Is there enough for the rest of the class?
Our sister may have gotten me some Carvel. Carvel, if you're trying to sponsor the stream real quick, hit us up.
Carvel, Monster, Fanatec.
Yeah, we're trying to get all these sponsors. I mean, listen, we'll make liveries for you. We'll get. What was the Carvel? Well.
Yeah, this race right now looks like the action on screen is currently winding down, but I feel like it tends to ramp up in the last few minutes in these MX5 races. Currently, we got Purple chasing down Demon, Gilly chasing down Labu, and Moose chasing down Winter. Still, I mean, he's got to be real tired. Moose has got to be real tired of seeing the rear end of Winter.
Yeah, I'm sure. He's had a day, it feels like, and Winter also, notably, I don't think Winter got too much practice in, so then again, a lot of these guys say they didn't get a lot of practice in, and then here they come winning races, so I'll take that with a grain of salt, I suppose. Looks like we're getting blue flags, so they must be coming up on, is it Pato?
Pato?
All right,
yeah,
Pato.
Pato's right there. He's taking
Moose
us off the racing line.
Good job, Pato.
Slowing down. Yep.
And notably Winter, I mean, Moose now, he's trying to get that gap down to Winter, but Winter is not giving him any room. We have just over 3 minutes left in this race, and he's gonna have to hope that Winter puts a toe out of the line, or Moose just has the lap of his life. Notably, however, Arctic seems unbeatable. I mean, he's 2 seconds ahead, has fastest lap once again, fastest lap with a 1:35.2, and they're just, he's just trying to walk away with this win.
Yeah, Arctic once again showing that he is quite a master in this car. Quick in other cars too, but since day one they joined this league, they have shown that they are rampant in here. And that was around Watkins Glen. I think their first race was with us, and showing that they have what it takes to win this series in our MX5 Cup series, and others. I'm sure if we're toying around with the idea of different series for next season. And whatever it is, I think Arctic's going to be pretty rampant in, and has offered to help out with testing and coming up with the rules and setups for the lobbies and stuff. So really good to see, a dedicated racer who has a great time, is well matched too. But though Arctic now has a half-second penalty, I don't think it's going to be enough for Winter and Moose to overtake. But that gap now to Winter, 1.4 seconds before he serves the penalty. Winter rather maybe licking his lips looking for that P1.
I'm sure he is. And just a quick note, we did see Gilly take Labu about a lap or so ago. So Gilly taking P6, and unless Marino has a moment, I'm sure that's probably what he'll end up finishing. We have just under a minute and a half left in this race here. So I don't think, is Arctic serving that right now? I don't think he is.
Serving it right now,
okay, he is.
The gap was 1.3 seconds, and now after serving it, it's 8 tenths, just between 8 and 9 tenths. That's not close enough for an overtake, obviously, as Moose has been right up behind Winter for a lot of this race. But it's giving them a hope that they might be able to do something on this lap.
Yeah.
They've got to be braver on the brakes, carry more speed through the turns.
Oh my goodness, the line difference in that first turn as Moose sends it. That's a dive bomb of the century if I've ever seen it. Winter tried to close the door on him, but Moose, made it happen, I guess, and he's now in second place. I don't think he's going to be able to catch. We have 30 seconds left in the race, so this will end up being the final lap, I believe, of this race. And now side by side, as Winter has a look on the inside, takes second place once again, but we're going to be going side by side once again real quick, I believe, on this uphill straight. Or is Moose going to end up having to tuck it back behind Winter? I think that's the case right now. And I don't know if maybe he gave the position back or what, because it did seem a bit of a sus move there going into T1. He kind of seemed like he may have missed his breaking point. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. I'm curious to see what those two say after the race. But if they just settled it on track for here, then either way, the fact that Tony is going to be finishing fourth here is great news for all three of these guys, but in particular, Arctic and Moose.
Absolutely. Now, further behind, I do see Gilly and Marino fighting. Gilly knows this is his last chance. He's got to make it count. And they have traded the spot back and forth a couple times now. Gilly just not quite able to make it stick. I think he went wide at one or two turns, in which gave Marino the spot back. Very respectful driving. And Labu right behind Gilly now to clean up any spot that might come as a result of a mistake from someone.
We'll keep it as we see Arctic and Winter crossing the line, Moose crossing the line. Arctic, man, this has been a clean sweep for him. The only difference being actually Moose taking the fastest lap, unless someone else on the track is able to take that away from him. But with these three fighting, I don't think it's going to happen. As we see Gilly taking Marino. Now, is Marino going to be able to defend from Labu, or is Marino going to be able to hold on to sixth place here? We'll have to keep our eye on it. I don't know if Labu is going to have the opportunity to take him. He's running out of places here to make a move happen. He's going to have to hope that Marino has a moment coming into this final turn, but I don't think he's going to have it. I think Marino's going to end up taking sixth place, and Labu's going to end up seventh. Gilly having a fantastic drive, though, taking fifth place from, what a difficult race he had, man. What a difficult race Gilly had to end up in fifth place once again. We see Marino, he's widening that gap from Purple, or Demon rather, sorry. Demon's going to be taking eighth. Purple is going to be ninth. We see Jay Lucky finishing 10th, and Zug Zug finishing 11th in this race. What a reverse grid race, Rim, man. That, I really am going to have to see what happened in that T1 incident, but congrats to Arctic for a double P1 finish today. And congrats to Moose, though, for taking away that fastest lap from him. A 135.063 is a very quick lap. And, Tony Cal having a tech issue with his wheel, having to jump onto a controller for the second race. Not something you love to see, especially as this is the 7th round of a 10-round series. So giving up,
absolutely,
he's going to be giving up first place at a time when he really can't be affording it. But we do have a couple more races coming up for Tony to be able to make those points up. Notably, we'll have 3 more races. We have Goodwood coming up next weekend. Round number 9 will be Nürburgring sprint race or sprint, and then we'll be ending the series over at Road Atlanta. Purple jumping in saying my wheel was in PS3 mode for the first 5 laps. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
What does that mean? I'm curious. I've never.
Well, I did see Purple get like a weird start, and it was like I don't know what
That's true.
happened.
Purple. You were like, yeah. I mean, I don't want to say caught
Pulled out
sleeping.
into the middle.
Yeah, but
And then Winter turned right into the wall.
that grid start overall was just extremely weird. Okay, that's why. That's very strange. I mean, it must have something to do with like the maybe the dead zones. I don't know. I'm fucking talking out my butt, but unfortunate to see. Honestly, though, I mean, for a bad start that you had, you know, P9, I think you could if the race was maybe a little bit longer, a few things went your way, you could have definitely had fought with Demon for 8th, but either way, P9 finished not too bad. I know you're sandbagging for next season anyway, so you know, just take that P9 and take it, I suppose. But again, congrats to our podiums for finishers for the second race today: Arctic, Winter, and Moose. And so we'll be here next weekend at Goodwood. Well, so we're having double back-to-back weekends with the MX5 Cup Series, and man, it's getting close now with the final few races coming up here. It feels like it's been a long series, it's been a long season, but you know, we're really coming down to it, and these points are gonna matter more and more as we're coming into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you know, as we wind down, if anyone is looking to drive, you know, just reach out to us. We're more than happy to talk to you. We do have a Discord that is for drivers only, and we do have more things planned for season 2. We're going to take a bit of a break between seasons, but probably look to stream our, you know, weeknight lobbies or for fun lobbies as we do some testing, and that'll be a good time. But for now, Goodwood, October 15th at the same time. You'll always find us here. Our stream starts at 12:50 p.m. EST, and looking forward to it. Wally, any further notes for today?
I think that's it. Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll be here next weekend, like Ryan said. And thank you for joining us. You can catch the VOD if you missed any of it, or if you want to check any shenanigans, reverse grid fun on YouTube. It'll be up on YouTube probably later tonight, if not tomorrow. You might have to wait for HD to finish processing because YouTube is slow. And other than that, I appreciate everyone joining. Thank you so much. We'll see you next weekend.
Cheers, everyone.